Hey everyone. I thought I would just come on here quick and do a little soft spoken video here. And I'll most likely turn it into a little Gargoyle Slayer task. Time lapse, as gargoyles are a pretty good source of loot. Could be a pretty nice AFK thing to time lapse to see gains. And I'll overall probably just make this a little short thing. Probably as a means to test out some more audio and screen recording stuff. I'm still taking my time getting the audio balancing worked out. As you'll hear there, the furnace behind me just kicked off, so you probably see a shift in the white noise already because the Blue Yeti is pretty heavy on picking up background noise for sure. I will probably either include music or just make some sounds. Oh, I forgot super pots. Oh boy. You know what, let's actually go get those, and I will continue the recording when I'm back, as we want to be dropping full hits on these gargoyles on camera. So yeah, see you in a second. One thing I want to sort out in terms of the audio balancing, engineering, and just the overall sound profile of my videos is, like I said, if anyone watches at this point, I'll like your feedback on the including of music, which I've done on other videos and potentially in this one to test it, because I am bringing up the question. And so yeah, let me know. Either way, I'm really glad that there are a couple recurring viewers of mine based on the analytics, which I check out of curiosity. It's interesting to look at the breakdown of what videos give you time, which ones don't, and especially which ones kind of tickle the algorithm a bit, because a channel like mine is essentially, I want to say it's essentially, not set to appear in any feeds or essentially anything at all except for my subscriber box and not so much the side panel, but random searches. And so yeah, my thing with music is that I definitely listen to a lot of music and just stuff in general while I'm listening to ASMR, but I know that not everybody wants to auditorily multitask like that, as it could be a little overwhelming and very anti-ASMR to have so many things going on. I know a lot of people obviously, just want to hear the whispering, the clicks, the mouse, the keyboard, maybe some white noise if you're into the lo-fi content. But that being said, with my setup not being extraordinary and my, not including of triggers and other sounds, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it might be advantageous to, add another relaxing layer, maybe something that triggers the brain a little bit more than just the ears, which I think RuneScape and old ambient music absolutely does. And you're already watching a RuneScape video, so it makes sense. The only downside, of course, I could see is that if you are doing other stuff, of course, at the same time that involves sound, such as playing RuneScape, then it's obviously a problem that, you don't want 2 tracks of music going on. You certainly don't want 2 people talking and music playing. I mean, it's when you get into 3 or 4 elements that even I start to break down in terms of my ability or want to multitask sound. So I can only imagine that is pretty common amongst the average listener of ASMR, which is pretty generally overwhelmed anyways. Let me respond to this here. So during this, I'm most likely going to be clearing my private history and be better about not including people's names. I'll probably go back to a video and blur that out just because these people probably do not have their private set to on, but if they do, you know, the RuneScape player base could be a little weird. Some people think ASMR is weird. Some people on RuneScape probably think ASMR is very weird and quite a nasty minority, although I've not run into any of those people. So actually turn my gain down and get a little bit closer to the mic, see if I could avoid distortion but hit kind of that heavy whisper sound. In order to do this, I could actually put my private chat down into the red box. I remember when you used to be able to do that just by right-clicking here. I think it's so weird that you cannot. The only reason I could see for that being is some sort of change in code, or like an engine issue. But I don't think Jagex is really able to modify the engine, so that just seems stupid. Yeah, private chat. Alright, yeah, split private chat. Okay, great. Now we can keep a blur here. Or better yet, I could probably copy this texture in like GIMP or Photoshop. Or I'm an idiot here. I could obviously just replace this whole window. I could keep it on clan chat, so yeah, whatever. I'm glad we got that sorted out. In general, also, my videos have a simple volume issue in the sense that they're simply just not as loud as the average ASMR video, and I've realized that this is actually a pretty common problem with amateur uploaders because sound normalization is not, something built into your microphone. It's something that happens either post-production or during the actual recording. And so, in general, the decibels are simply low. However, I need a good way to normalize and increase the volume while avoiding distortion, which could definitely be obtained in something free. And I'm sure Sony Vegas has audio editing built into it, although probably not as comprehensive. Because yeah, so far, just simply increasing the gain in, did I say Audible? I meant Audacity. Audible. Yeah, increasing the gain even just a little bit adds a bit of distortion because there's already gain on the mic and I'm so close to it as it is that just due to kind of the lo-fi feel I'm going for, there's already a little bit of distortion built into the recording, and that's kind of part of the ASMR. And so, you know, when you have gain, you know, some of the most sensitive things are distortion, of course. Those get picked up way heavier than the more pleasurable aspects of the recording that I'm going for. So yeah. I'm almost done with this gargoyle task. I started at 214 and at around 140 I switched to a bracelet of slaughter. I've used around 15 charges on the bracelet already, and that is perfect. I mean, I guess it's not that much, obviously, but you know, 15 extra gargoyles on task isn't nothing. I'd say you get, you know, you're averaging like at least 30-40k per 15, probably more than that. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, okay, I've killed 213 in total, Rinley says. So that's actually, well, that's more than I thought. 15, what am I thinking? 35 is what I meant to say. That makes a lot more sense. So yeah, 35 gargoyles, that's pretty big. That's a big save there. And so yeah, I probably actually, I won't have time-lapse this video, or at least if I'm going to, it'll have started afterwards. Just because I'm not planning on recording too much footage to where I can time-lapse a bunch of it. And I've been moving the camera around quite a bit. Ideally, you don't want to move the camera around. I honestly forgot what I said to him. Oh yeah, the buckets of sand. Good repot here. And yeah, having super defense potions is pretty nice now. The way the game calculates defense is actually really interesting. You know, I come to think of it, actually, it's a pretty good idea, but I could actually make an ASMR video where I talk about some of the mechanics of the game and maybe break down some math in a way that I haven't really commonly seen. However, there are absolutely entire communities that have access and have already processed a lot of this information. Just because that's how the RuneScape community is, and that's a fact. Much like classic WoW, where there is a really ominous framework for a lot of the code. The engines are quite complicated to the point where the devs probably don't even know completely how they work. Let's face it, that's pretty common for games, especially older games that are still running on that same old framework. A lot of people have joined and left the company. A lot of games are intentionally left with bugs in them for fear of breaking them if fixed. Especially in MMOs, this is a really big security concern because you don't ever actually want to create issues on a live version of the servers. You're better off dealing with issues that you know about and are already in the process of monitoring, rather than potentially ruining the game's economy. especially for something like RuneScape or WoW, where their economies are so heavily linked to the real world. So yeah, this GP stack was entirely from Gargoyles, from this task. And like I said, we are at 221. We'll probably kill like anywhere from like 36 to 42 more. Although I gotta say, this bracelet's really been kicking. It's doing a good job. And that'll be that. So let's actually let's take a look at my loot quick. Let's see if I could here. Try to do this in a way that's not ridiculous. Yeah. So it definitely looks a little ridiculous with my character being out of frame. But you see, that's pretty good. I don't know how much of that is actually usable, the 2.75 mil. Skeletal Wyvern I did today. Miscellany accounted for a lot of that. Like a lot. I got pretty lucky with the Ranar weeds. I got 3 Ranar seeds and 2 snap seeds. That's pretty ridiculous. That's like 3 days worth though, maybe even more. Or 2 days rather. But that just goes to show that there is definitely there's definitely an advantage to placing your kingdom resources on farming and herbs instead of prioritizing herbs. Farming absolutely gets you more herbs in the long run. That's what I believe, at least. Especially considering you get low tier seeds a lot more generously than you get low tier herbs. So you end up with a lot more herbs in the long run with some farming XP. And if you're already a pretty late account like I am, then you have more than enough patches and teleportation methods to be using those seeds up on an iron. Absolutely. Oh, so yeah, I will not actually have time-lapse this video either right now, simply because I showed my loot, and I'll want that to remain in real time, of course. Okay, now here we are switching to our proselyte. And you'll see here with 64 prayer we get 6 minutes. With our prayer bonuses, we're missing 1. I don't have a prayer bracelet. So yeah, that's pretty darn insane. When it's maxed out, we have, I think, a little over 7 minutes, something like 7:10 with Protect from Melee. And of course, you could stack even more with a helmet. If you're doing bossing, you could get +4 or the obvious +3. And shield, of course, up to, I believe, +5 from a book. And +1 from boots. That's pretty negligible. But +5, +3. That's another 8. I want to say that's almost a minute. Oh yeah, that's over a minute. That's 72. Unless it stacks logarithmically. Let us check that out. This is important. I almost feel like I read something that so let's see here. It's definitely not totally linear. Although, oh wait, it might be here. 0.6 times train resistance over train effect. So, and that's your seconds. So let us run some numbers here. We have to reset our aggro before we crunch the numbers here and go a little AFK. Okay, there we are. Alright, yeah, what do we say here? 0.6 times the train resistance, let's say 27. Okay, so I actually just did some math and then found the real value of train resistance. So your train resistance actually 2 times your bonus, which for me is like 27 right now, plus 60. Okay, I know the task just finished, but we're gonna do this anyways. So I get about 380 seconds of prayer here. And so that's 114 times 0.6, which is a base value. 114 is my train resistance, and then the train effect is, we're just gonna say X. And so this is the value for a melee. That makes more sense. It's a more neat, rational number. So if we plug that in, we get 0.6 times 114, 0.8. But instead of plugging in 114, we'll say that we have a variable prayer bonus, where X is our prayer bonus. We'll actually just call that a big B here, not to be confused with a slope. And we have a slope of 0. And we're going to plot that just to see how it evolves over time. It's quite obvious from the structure of the equation here, which is just simple multiplication and division. So it's really just a scalar multiplied by some variable x, or a solution. We'll say we'll go up to like 40 per bonus, and yeah, so that's a linear relationship. So a prayer does not have any diminishing returns is the I was trying to make with that, and that's confirmation, although again that would be pretty obvious experimentally. Again, this is a rather clear example of some of the roles and checks performed in RuneScape. However, some of the other roles and checks are not nearly as intuitive, such as defense, hit roll, accuracy, and I'm going to get into that. Ironically, all of that is much more convoluted than strength and max hit, which is very simple. And of course, I believe that the reason for convolution of the attack stats in particular is due to them attempting to balance the game in a way that isn't so barbaric, in a way that's efficient. And of course, efficient game balancing leads to a balanced game, as opposed to one that is easily breakable by a community of botters and legitimately interested and intelligent people trying to play the game as optimally as they can. So yeah, I actually think I'm gonna make a video on that and ASMR run through some of the calculations performed, some explanation as to why we do some of the popular meta min-maxy things that players tend to do, many of which were not really common or done publicly at all in, like, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, when the game was kind of around or right after its peak of popularity. These are rather recent methods to old school. Steel Dragons. Yeah, 19. I mean, that's not that bad. I guess I could get some footage of me doing that, and so, you know what? That's what we'll do. I guess we're doing Steel Dragons. We'll do some Slayer Dart E. In fact, I can almost make impressions. Or is that 69? That is 69. Well, that's pretty tough because I can't boost. So yeah, here I'll pause it here so that I could pause the audio, and then we'll figure out how we want to approach these steel dragons. Alright. I believe we head west here. Let's do this. Okay. We are in the catacombs of Korend here. We are headed to the steel dragons, and as soon as I get there and start killing them, we'll probably speed it up. And now I believe this will probably just be in a video of its own. I'll add a little bit of commentary at the end of the last one, explaining that. Again, these are just kind of AFK whatever videos. So since I have so much prayer and prayer bonus, I'm actually gonna get up in melee range so that he does not breathe on me 100% of the time. And, I really don't want to flick Mystic Might through this, but we might have to, lest we want to blow a lot of our death runes, I believe. The accuracy difference is pretty big. I could even come back with a Mystic Robe if it would really help that much. So yeah, I'll definitely be speeding it up at this point, and I'll start clicking for ASMR's sake, and I'll ramble for a little bit. Then I'll probably switch to Audacity so that I could ramble outside of the recording. And, you know, AFK through some of this, of course. So one of my big goals is that I want to get a bursting task, preferably Dust Devils right now, or I don't remember if Neck Reels or something that gets bursted, but I believe they are. Oh boy, did I forget that this was multi. That's okay. I'm gonna get them both in the melee range there. Oh, actually, I gotta stop narrating real time here, as the video's not playing in real time. Yeah, so this task is actually not going by very slowly at all. This will be pretty quick. I mean, what's a couple of prayer potions at the end of the day? I have so many. I do keep forgetting to switch to my expeditious bracelet there, so hopefully we will do that and not be forgetting. So yeah, my Slayer is 80 now. Well, actually, it's been 80, but it's progressed into the 80s now, finally. And I'm hoping to hit 81 within a couple of days. I have under 130,000. I mean, actually, if we get a couple of really good cannon tasks or bursting tasks, we might be clearing a lot more Slayer XP than usual. And that would be nice. That would be very nice. What would also be nice is getting like a Visage or something from these steel dragons. I will say it's really hard to justify using Mystic Might when, or leaving it on rather than flicking it when it literally uses as much prayer as protect from melee. I mean, that's so rough for something that doesn't actually give you any damage, just DPS from accuracy. I used to be able to flick pretty tick perfect. Not repeated tick flicking like people do. Just on the actual proper tick of the cycle, to where I'd be using no prayer. I would definitely lose a couple points if I was flicking something like piety. If I messed up, or if latency kind of caused me to leave my prayer on like it might. But with the protection prayers, and the other offensive ones, absolutely, I was pretty slick with those. Especially during Rex, I would flick Mystic Might sometimes down at like 2 prayer, and I'd have to flick the melee when he'd come up and whack me because I'd be out of prayer, but I need the 2 prayer to last that long, because he could hit up to like a 43 with his whack-a-mole. You don't want that to happen, of course. I also have to try not to move my camera around too much during segments where I'm going to time-lapse, like I said. This is a pretty task. A pretty bad task. I do suppose having the Dragon Fire potions would be nice, but I don't even think they're that long, so... Nice. Well, I did actually get a charge off on that one. The kill where I go from 17 to 15. That's nice. Oh, I actually also totally forgot that I obtained a hard clue scroll at near the end of the last video. I need to go do that. Hopefully I can do it on an Iron Man. Some of the gear requirements for hard are pretty annoying, but I think I have all the crafting requirements out of the way. I don't think any glories are involved. Or at least I hope not. Especially not because glories are one of the rewards, but I don't know if that necessarily means anything. If I could trust that. I think I've already gotten hit twice trying to dilly-dally. Yeah, unfortunately, Steel Dragons do not drop the Dragon Pickaxe, of course. I believe that's just bosses. I don't think Missile Dragons do. Could look that up. Yeah, no. They do drop the Dragonfall Helm, of course. That would be fun. Vernight Dragons also probably not, but I don't know for sure. Dragon Metal Lump. That's cool. Yeah, no, no Dragon Pick. Oh, wow, this kill I have going on over here is progressing real slowly. And I also just realized that I again forgot to switch bracelets for the last one. I could have saved like maybe 2 kills already. Maybe not though. You never know. At least I only missed out on a couple. That's the moral of the story. And yeah, as has been made evident by the footage, it turns out meleeing Steel Dragons on my level is much more efficient than dropping the Slayer Dart enchanted on them. Even though they're enchanted, and even though my magic is 79, the magic attack bonus from the gear is probably a really big factor. And I was rolling it with literally none. I just had monk robes on, so that makes sense. I'm gonna flick as much as I can, and this task will be over pretty quickly.
It would be really cool to get a video footage of a Visage drop or even D-legs. I'm not a fan of this Steel Dragon bugging out graphically. Well, I actually already have D-legs, so what would be nice is a D-skirt. So that I could complete the collection, but also I have a female character, so, you know. Although I will say that the dragon skirt doesn't really look as good as the legs, just because the legs are so classic. They really are classic. And so we left out the holy symbol here on my neck. So we're missing 7 per bonus as opposed to usual. But that is because we want the accuracy bonus from Amulet of Power. Especially because I'm at the threshold of hitting them often, which means I'm just breaking past their defense roll, succeeding on that, I believe. Oh, we're lagging. I thought I was about to get a Visage. I am getting big hits here. Like I said, this is really efficient. Yeah, so I'm actually going to end the recording off here, and we're going to do the clue scroll in its own part, and maybe we could, I don't know, maybe we could fluff that video up since it'll be like a short clue scroll, and we'll see how it does in the algorithm. See if we could pull like, you know, anywhere from like 50 to 100 people, like we did on the very first old school video I released, and I think that had to do with the diction I used in the title. I mean, like I said then, and like I'll say now, there is absolutely a vacuum in old school RuneScape, like kind of upper level, more intense ASMR content. Not as in the ASMR is intense, of course, but that the RuneScape gameplay is intense. You know, not so much intense, but just upper level. Literally and figuratively, you know, doing gargoyles, ASMR is not something that, you know, I see. Maybe it's cool to see that in a time lapse and see some drops. People like KempQ, Sir Pugger, I mean, all these YouTubers who pull a lot of views. You know, it's mainly because they are them and their teams are very skilled with editing. Especially KempQ, who probably edits all his stuff personally. His videos are, I don't say masterfully edited to, like, you know, overhype it, but KempQ makes fantastic content, and it's all in the editing. All YouTube is in the editing. I mean, just look at, not to get too off topic here, rambly, but just look at like Ray William Johnson, one of the first, if not kind of the first person on YouTube to really blow up early, and then also become like a national presence, which is absolutely true. He was the top subscribed in the period where, at multiple periods during an era of YouTube where it was natural for videos to be reaching into the millions and subscribers to be in the millions. Absolutely. So, yeah, that was, while his content obviously hasn't aged very well, and I think it was very immature, Ray William Johnson definitely went to the top because of how flashy, on point, and on focus he made his editing. There was no dead space, a lot of jump cuts, definitely well thought out. And I mean, he was at a top university at the time when he was making it, so of course it makes sense that there was some love behind it. So yeah, I mean, that's the type of content that succeeds on YouTube. Is my point. It's very, very focused editing.
there's not a lot of space for spaciness even in ASMR. There has to be a focus. Coming on and improvising without much experience or without like a natural inclination just doesn't really come off that great. And that's kind of what I do. And I don't think this content comes out all that great. You know, I'm not trying to put out a great content, of course. If I was, I would be editing it with quite a lot of precision. You know, first it would have to be indistinguishable from some of the, you know, quality-wise editing from some of the popular stuff I see. And as a benchmark, that would take a lot of education and practice for me to get to that point. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Maybe I'll continue with this ramble in the Clue School video. Either way,